Wow, so did Deku just get a little bit badass? The same character that people since the beginning of My Hero Academia have made fun of for crying and this, that, and the third. Like, yo, what's going on here, My Hero Academia? Ever since like the end of 306, now coming into 307, the new Deku is looking like a beast. And oh my gosh, people, it seems as though My Hero Academia, considering the fact that it's been announced that we're heading into the final act, or we're in the final act at this particular point, it looks like it's going to be getting even more epic. The way things have been structured, with villains just running rampant through the city, the return in this chapter in particular of Muscular, aka now known as Jailbreaker, which that's kind of interesting, but also makes sense. Fam, we've got a lot to talk about of My Hero Academia. Without further ado, people, let's do it. Let's talk that My Hero Academia greatness. Okay, Deku, you want a rematch with him, huh? I see what you try to do. Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Okay, people, with chapter 306, the ending of it leading into 307, we're talking about 307, but 306, the ending, is a major catalyst to everything moving forward, because the end of 306, again, like we talked about last week, it had Deku seemingly standing on top of like a gargoyle looking like Batman, and it seems as though he's on his vigilante stuff. Noted that I didn't really mention in the last video the fact that it says it's April now, so I'm curious how much time has passed. It's definitely been somewhat of a time skip, whether it be a month, a few months, something along the lines of that, for them to have mentioned last chapter that it was April now, and clearly there's been a change in Deku, especially after the end of 307. But yeah, that's interesting to note that, yeah, things have progressed, and essentially it might not be the time skip that we've been looking for, but we may have had a time skip of Deku being on his own for a while, which also would explain why he kind of came across as badass at the end of this chapter, and even a little bit at the end of last chapter. Now, if I'm being frank with you guys, 307, a lot of it, I feel as though it was an interesting build up to a certain degree, but it used characters that me personally, I'm not a fan of. Like, I've never really been a fan of Shindo. I always feel like, oh, Shindo, he looks like Deku, just a little bit older and more of an asshole. So I was never a fan of Shindo. Likewise with Turtleneck, I was just like, we've got Turtleneck here, mate. I mean, in terms of like it being okay, let's just say this is a somewhat of a time skip, and this is like the next phase of the story, the final phase of the story, so to speak, or the final act, like not showing everybody immediately. That makes sense in terms of like, okay, we're doing a slow burn. These aren't the main characters that everybody's excited for. These are some of the side characters, but little by little we're gonna build into seeing what everybody is up to right now. So in terms of that, I get it using Turtleneck and Shindo, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm not the biggest Shindo fan. But apparently this guy named Jailbreaker was seen in the South Ward, and he's been doing a lot of messed up things, and just in general, you know, the whole city has been taken over at this point by villains doing whatever the heck they want. And I like also this extra angle. Like, it's not just as simple as like, hey, the villains have essentially won and are running amok throughout the city, because you also have this extra piece of like these civilians that have turned vigilante, that they're dangerous themselves because they don't know what the heck they're doing, and they think they know what they're doing, but really they're not ready for that. They're not built for that hero life, so to speak. So Shindo and Turtleneck showing up and trying to convince them like, yo fam, just come to the school shelter, you can't be doing this. It showcases the difference between being a hero, being a pro hero, just being a hero in general, and just being a regular Joe with a quirk. Because honestly, if you think about it throughout the story, it has crossed my mind of like, well, couldn't just anybody that has like a really beastly quirk or a decent quirk and have, you know, understanding the fundamentals of how to like kick ass, couldn't they be a hero? This is showing the difference of, no, this is somebody that is a real hero, like Shindo and Turtleneck, or just in general, we've seen what heroes can really do, and this is what regular people with quirks can do. They're not the same. That's like comparing like a pro boxer to some dude that could like kick ass in the street. Very, very different. And we also see the mistrust. Like, that's one of the reasons why the civilians have become vigilantes. Like, the dude is like, yo, my shop was torn down and shit like that. There's essentially people that have had enough. People that have like gotten sick of like, yo, heroes have let us down. Look what's happened to the city. I'm taking matters into my own hands now, because the cops can't do nothing against like, you know, these giant Nomu and all this shit. They can't do shit. The heroes clearly can't do anything. I need to protect mine. mind. So I understand to a certain degree their mindset. Like, yeah, they're flawed because, yo, fam, if they want to come right now and rip your head off your shoulders, they can. You're no match. Just because you got a quirk or you're able to do, like, you're not. Y'all can all work together and still look at what is about to occur in the chapter with jailbreakers, so to speak. But Shindo and Turtleneck eventually leave the base of these vigilantes. I hate calling them vigilantes. Like, they're civilians. Like, vigilante sounds so cool. When I hear vigilante, I think of, like, you know, Nightwing or Batman in general and shit. No, they're not vigilantes. They're civilians on a power trip. Why did I say that with my eyes closed? I don't know. I guess I was just disgusted with it for a minute. But then as Shindo and Turtleneck are walking away, we get this epic double spread of Muscular, aka Jailbreaker, busting through an entire building, coming at them. And I was like, yo, here we go. I wish it would have been a little more formally announced of, like, you know, 3 months later, 6 months later, or something like that. That way it would have really felt like, oh shit, the beginnings of a time skip. Because right now it just feels uncertain. Like, the end of last chapter said April is here and Deku was by himself with a torn up, it looked like Gran Torino's cape around him and shit like that. Like, I wish we would have known what we was getting into. I would have feel a little bit more like, oh shit. Maybe that's just a random thought of mine, but yeah, it would have just feel a little more like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the beginning of One Piece's time skip. It just feels like, well, how much time has passed since we saw Deku lead UA? Shindo sends Turtleneck, however, to go, like, evacuate the civilians and basically get some help and say, yo, he needs some backup, fam. This dude is no joke. This is Muscular, Jailbreaker, gonna break his neck. But of course, the civilians think that they know better. They're like, yo, fam, we gonna go help the kid out. What do you mean we gotta go, fam? We gonna go. He's a kid. And I'm just like, these damn civilians, they don't listen. Y'all not Batman. Y'all not Nightwing, fam. Y'all not Robin. Y'all not Batgirl. Like, stop. And eventually, Muscular has Shindo pinned down, which shout outs to Shindo for at least trying. He's like, yo, I'm gonna use Max Force, even though it'll leave me immobilized. I could probably take him down. But, like, if you remember correctly, even to this point, it still feels like Muscular was OP. Like, he was very overpowered. Like, when he fought against Deku, even though it was just like a saying, but he was like 1,000,000,000% against Muscular. Like, he struggled with one of the strongest powers, One for All, against Muscular. So yeah, I'm not expecting when I'm seeing Shindo pinned down that Shindo's gonna be able to do much, even though he's trying. But, like, yo, Muscular is a very, very strong villain. But then as he's about to hit him with that Max Force, Muscular's like, I got more layers of armor. Like, Muscular, like, it's not said enough of how much of a beast, and he might be one of the strongest villains in all of My Hero Academia. No bullshit. Like, yeah, All For One has, like, multiple quirks and shit like that, and Shigaraki, like, he touches you and turns you to dust, or he don't even gotta touch you anymore to turn you into dust. But this dude, like, just for a regular villain, like, if he had more brains, he could probably run shit, because he is very, very hacks. But then seemingly Muscular gets hit out of nowhere, and he's like, yo, what the heck is going on? And oh my god, that page, that panel, oh, we see the new Deku essentially in his new costume, which is basically like similar to his old costume, but it like has like a more epic look. The mouthpiece, you got again, like, it looks like Gran Torino's little cape around him, and it just looked epic as shit. And him not being scared, not being a wuss, standing up to Muscular, what's going on here? And the way he's even talking, it definitely feels like a little bit more of a badass Deku, when he's like, yo, no wonder my gift from the fourth wouldn't shut up. That's not Deku language. Deku would be like, hey, you stop it right now or I'm gonna do something about it. So just a small observation there as well of like, oh shit, Deku, yeah, he's on one. And the chapter ends off with Muscular saying, hey, I know that voice, which again, yeah, I want to say that's one of the last voices he heard before he got imprisoned. And the rematch is about to go down, Deku versus Muscular. But again, this is a whole different Deku now, seemingly. The way he's already approaching things, the way he's talking, it's only been a little bit that we got, but it looked like whatever happened in between Deku leaving that hospital and now, he's grown a lot. He's been on his own, I don't know how long, but for a bit. Honestly, this chapter of My Hero Academia, again, not the most interesting characters, a slow burn of a setup, but it paid off so well at the end with Deku versus Muscular rematch beginning. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm really, really hyped. Curious what you guys think though. For starters, how much time has passed since Deku left the hospital or since the war arc and now? Like, was it a few months, 1 month? Like, clearly it had to have been at least a month for them to announce it's April now. Also, what the heck is going on with Deku? What do you think of the new Deku thus far? The way he's talking, the way he's carrying himself, and who you got your money on, Deku or Muscular? I am gonna lie, I think Deku's gonna whack him, and it's gonna clearly showcase the difference of Deku back then to Deku now. He's gonna have a whole bunch of new quirks at his disposal, and I think he's gonna whip Muscular's ass. It's not just gonna be him punching on him. He's gonna use Black Whip. He's gonna be able to sense him to dodge, and he's just gonna float on that motherfucker and kick his ass. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the My Hero Academia manga with chapter 308 and beyond? yo, if this is already a time skip of sorts, it's looking like it's gonna be lit. Again, slow burn. Don't really care for Shindo and Turtleneck, but it was worth it, and it paid off, and it made sense to do it that way. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and yo, I'm ready for this rematch. Deku, the new Deku versus Muscular Jailbreaker. Let's go.
You